Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are super excited to show you about the latest developments in our CYPHER agent for the learners that Graham has been putting together. As always, he is on the cutting edge of what is coming with agentic learning and personalized learning. And he's going to show you everything that we have coming. We have a ton of resources around CYPHER Agent for learners to help you orient yourself and sort of decide how to use it and integrate it into your solution. So reach out to me if you'd like to learn more about it. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Graham and let him show off what is happening.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. Hi, everybody. I'm your local friendly CTO and founder, Graham Glass. And today I'm going to be giving you a tour of some of the new features of CYPHER Agent. And I'm also going to throw in a few little teasers for what's coming next, because we're in a extremely productive time right now at CYPHER Learning. So there's going to be a whole set of related functionality. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. So hopefully what you can see now is my CYPHER Learning dashboard. And before I talk about the main event, which is the new assess and practice tools, I'm also going to tell you about a very nice new thing that we added to the learn tool. So for those of you who used our platform, you know that when you click here, the agent button, you get access to CYPHER Agent. And for those of you who don't use our tool, this is the way you access CYPHER Agent. And you can see here various things that the agent can do for you. And this list grows almost every month. So we've got a whole ton of additional things coming later on this year. But I'm going to start by talking about Learn. So this is something which allows a user of the system to learn about anything with the help of an AI agent. So I click on Learn and I can ask it, what do you want to learn? So let's just say I want to learn about JavaScript programming. Now, in the previous version of Learn, once you clicked Go, what it would do is basically come up with a map of all the concepts and start right away. Now there's a new session setup phase. So on the left-hand side here, now you can see how the tool works. And what it's doing now, it's basically going to adaptively figure out exactly what you want to focus on. So if you're an expert or you're a beginner, obviously it's going to make a difference to what it teaches you. So I'm going to say I'm a beginner. And if you're familiar with OpenAI Deep Research, it's very similar to that. So what's your main goal to learn more advanced techniques? And there's usually asks you three questions. Any specific areas? I'm going to say web development. Now, if you don't want to do the setup, there's a little button here that says skip setup if you just want to go straight to JavaScript programming, but it makes sense to kind of tune the system so it knows exactly what you want to learn about. The next step is it's going to figure out all the things that it's going to teach you and ask for you to sign off on it, because maybe it's a little bit off. So it's generating what we call a concept map. And it's basically saying, here are the specific areas that I am now going to teach you about. And you can say, oh, it's missing this, or can you add that? So you don't have to commit at this point. But if it looks good, you can just click here, looks good. And then it will do what it's always done, which is now it goes into learn mode, which is this interactive AI powered tutorial. So what it's going to do now, give you some imagery, tell you what concept's going to do, come up with a table of contents just like before. So that wasn't the main thing I wanted to talk about today, but having this setup phase is another example of making sure that the AI makes the best possible use of your time. One teaser I will give you is that down here you can see related subjects. So if you're interested in binge learning, I can learn about JavaScript and then I can go into TypeScript, etc. Very, very soon, that's also going to say related courses. And what we're doing is we're ingesting all of your courses and all the third-party catalog courses, ingesting them into our agent knowledge base so it can refer you to courses that are similar to what you want to learn using the Learn tool. So that's just a little bit about the Learn tool, but I thought they were some nice upgrades. So now let's go and focus on the main event, which are assess and practice. So assess basically allows a learner to self-assess their ability on, well, not self-assess, AI-powered assess your ability on anything. So it's not something that needs to be pre-configured. It's powered by our agent knowledge base. So if there are proprietary things that you want to assess on, as long as you make that proprietary information available to our agent knowledge base, the assess tools and the practice tools and the learn tools will all know about that proprietary information. And I'll show you what assess does in just a minute. And we also have practice, which allows you to practice any kind of skills in a simulated AI environment. Now, one thing I am going to underscore is that the assess tool is primarily oriented to assist the user and to aid the agent understand your strengths and weaknesses. It's not meant to be a formal assessment tool. It doesn't give you a grade. It doesn't say you're bad at something. It's all about helping the learner to understand what additional skills that they need to develop. And the same thing with practice. It doesn't give you a grade at the end. It's not something that you'd normally use for formal assessment, but it's really, really useful if you want to practice your skills. So without further ado, I'll give you a little idea about how assess works. Assess your knowledge and skills with the help of an AI agent. Yes, please. So I click on assess and it's asking me what do I want to assess, and I'm going to go software testing. Now this can be as general or as specific as you want. So I can say software testing of scalable cloud-based solutions. In Spain, you can just keep on making it as complex as you want, but that's good enough. And what it's going to do now, it's going to go through the session setup just like it did with the Learn tool. So it's going to say, how much experience do you have? I say, I don't have much experience in this area. So I'm basically saying it's a beginner. Then it's going to say, what motivated you? I work more and more with other cloud engineers. And one more question. What are you most interested in? How to test performance under various situations. So that kind of gives the AI enough to know, okay, what specifically am I going to assess you on? And then like the Learn tool, it's going to come up with its recommended series of concepts that it wants to assess. So now it's said, thank you. This is what we're going to look at. Now I'm going to generate the concept map. And this usually takes it a few seconds. So here we go. This is what it thinks would be best to test me on. And once again, I can go back and say, hey, I want some specific stuff to Oracle. Now let's do that. Can you add something specific to Oracle Cloud? So I'm just throwing that in there to see what happens. No particular focus. And this is one of the things I love about working with AI agents is it's conversational. It's not like you have two choices. It's A or B. You don't have to necessarily anticipate everything ahead of time. You just chat with the agent and it gradually figures out exactly what you want. So now it's updating the concept map. And now I can see things like this, Oracle Cloud Basic for testers. That's exactly what I was looking for. So now I'm going to say, looks good. And what it's going to do on the left-hand side here, it's going to update it so I can see all of the concepts that it's going to be assessing me on. And then it starts to assess me conversationally. Now, this is a really important thing. Under the hood, there's no pre-generated question banks. There's no pre-licensed question banks. It's not true or false. It's literally just talking with the AI, who we are making the assumption is an expert. Can you maybe, it means how fast does the system work? I mean, who knows? I might do terribly in this. And by the way, I'm not going to go through the entire thing. To go through the whole thing normally will take something like 5 minutes. What load testing, response time tracking, etc. So I'm only going to do two of these things just so you can get the essence of how the system works. So it's going to get to the end pretty soon here. Now, one of the things that I think is so cool is actually several things. First of this is completely adaptive. So this is not like I'm going to ask you these 20 randomized question bank things. What this does is that as it gets to know you, it's adjusting the level of the question appropriately. So that's really important. It's automatically adaptive. The second thing is, as you're responding, it will actually give you really nice feedback as well. So it says other type, notice down here it says, that's pretty good. Other types include stress testing and scalability testing. So this is why I said it's very learner oriented. It's not just about what did you score 9 out of 10. It's like helping you to learn more stuff even during assessment. And one of the things I find very curious is that in the past in learning platforms, everything was oriented around pre-built question banks. And you would build question banks, oftentimes manually, or you would license them. And then people will say, well, I want to randomize the question bank. Okay, check. We do that already. Then I want to draw from multiple different question banks and mix them up. Check. We do that already. Now I want to make sure I cover certain skills in the question bank. Check. Our question bank system does that already. But when you start going beyond that, well, now I want it to automatically adjust based on the way you work. And I want to automatically give you feedback. That gets harder and harder to do with a traditional question bank system. And our platform has probably got one of the best question bank systems there is, but it's just not nearly as good as this kind of approach. So that's why moving forward in the area of agentic learning, we are all in on this kind of dynamic adaptive assessment. So what it does in the left-hand side is as you're going through the assessment, it's graying out the areas that we have covered. And we intentionally do not color code them because we want people to go to the end and then get the final score at the end of the assessment. Because if they start getting a whole bunch of reds, which is like not doing good, you might just get disheartened and tune out. And this is not meant to dishearten you. This is meant to be a very constructive exercise. So what I'm going to do, I've pre-prepared one where I got to the end. So I go to my history here. And here is an assess I did on software development a while back. And it's all persistent. So you can always go back and see what you were tested on and all of your responses, so on and so forth. And then when you get to the very, very end, what it does is it looks at all of your responses, figures out a score, and depending on the score, you get green for good, red for fair, orange for fair, red means needs more work. But then notice what it does in the review. It's not just like you got X%, but it actually gives you themes. These are the strengths, areas of strength. Here are areas for improvement. Here's your confidence level. Here's how the assessment evolved. It's even giving you a history about how you did. Your answers were strongest when this, and then improvement suggestions. So this is what we've done as the first version of our assess is made it adaptive, steerable, controllable. There's a session set up. It gives you a full report at the end. And we've got a ton of ideas on what version 2 is going to be like and version 3 is going to be like. But I think even in version 1, it's a really strong tool for learners. But once again, this is not for formal assessment. This is to help the learner and help the AI know what your strengths and weaknesses are. Because the AI has access to all this information. So later on, if you assess on something else and you want to learn something else, it will remember now what your strengths and weaknesses are, which is really nice. So that is what we did in assess. And now we're going to switch to practice. Now, you might be thinking, what's the point of these tools? Like, is there a plan here? Is it just like random tool of the month? There is a master plan behind this, which is we want full end-to-end upskilling, reskilling, career planning, the works for every single learner in an enterprise, and something which allows them to easily flip between these modes depending on what they're trying to do. So if I'm trying to develop a school, hey, maybe the agent will say, do you want to assess yourself first? Or if you're doing really good, the agent might say, hey, do you want to practice this just to make sure? Or if you do poorly in practice, it's like, hey, would you like to learn a bit more about these three things? Yes, please. Or I've noticed all these skills. Have you considered this kind of career path? So what we're doing is we're building out this full suite of tools that will be controlled by your personal agent to do all things related to skills. So practice is an important one. So I'm going to show you what practice is like. What skills would you like to practice? And I'm going to say customer support. That's good enough. And we've tried to make all these different tools work in a very, very similar way. So just like learn, just like assess, we're going to have a session setup. So what kind of technical support will this be? Mostly email, but occasionally live on the phone. Okay. Part two. What are your main goals? I've been stumbling when dealing with difficult customers, which I'm sure all support people have to deal with. So it's a good area to practice. Thank you for clarifying. It's staying calm. So what you've done now is you've given the agent enough information so it knows, okay, based on all this kind of stuff, here's what I recommend. So here's the next cool thing is it's now saying there's a bunch of scenarios that it can actually give to you. So an email support one, a phone support simulation, live chat simulation. Let's do email. So I pick the simulation that I want to engage with the AI on. And now what it's going to do is going to figure out what specific things is it going to help me practice. So just like the other two tools, it's going to come up with a concept map. Here are the things: self-regulation, recognizing triggers, empathy statements, active listening, setting boundaries politely. This is really good. And it's fun for me. Like when we're working on these things, we just pick random things to practice. And the AI always seems to come up with a really, really nice set of things. So I'm going to say looks good. So what we have on the left-hand side here is all the various concepts that are going to start. Here is the scenario. You are a customer support agent. Their order arrived late and the product was not as described. Well, we're a SaaS company, so we don't actually ship a product. But I'm going to put on a different hat and I'm going to imagine that I am shipping something else. Books. I'm so sorry to hear this. It it happens rarely, but when it does, we take it seriously and as a matter of pride. I will personally ship a new item to you right away, or something like that. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. And I have done customer support in a previous life, so I have a little bit of skill in this area, but it's probably rusty. Hey, you express empathy. You offered a clear solution. So this, once again, is incredibly good and would be very hard to do without AI. Imagine if you were building some tool without AI and you wanted to do this. You would have to figure out like all the different branching scenarios and how to respond in every branching scenario and special cases. And you'd have to do that for every single possible scenario. Whereas this, I could say, I want to practice training my dog. I want to practice co-developing a software with a co-founder, like anything that you want. How are the situation the company replies, this isn't good enough. I need this item. Now it's ruined. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to get stressed out even by thinking about this. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go to a practice thing that I have pre-prepared to show you what the final output looks like. So here we go into history, into practice. I had practiced sales pitch. And it looks like I did quite good on that. I'm a natural salesperson. Um, so in this particular case, I wanted to practice a sales pitch, which obviously a lot of people want to do. In this case, I did very well and I got all green. But when you get down to the bottom, once again, the thing that's so important is that once you've done this, it doesn't just go, you got 80%. It tells you where you did good, where you didn't, areas to focus on next, estimated success, estimated confidence. So as you can imagine, this will be incredibly useful for anyone in an organization. We all have things that we would like to practice in a safe and engaging environment. So the practice tool with the assess tool, they're quite complementary, and they're also complementary with learn. And you can imagine we have additional tools that are planned for Q2. And we've also got an upgraded agent user interface, which is going to look amazing, also coming out in Q2. Now, there might be one thing that you are asking yourself during things like practice and assess, which is, I like this tool, but wouldn't it be nicer if I could just talk to the AI instead of typing? So all I can say about that is stay tuned. So I think that covers the main topics for today, which is the upgrade to our Learn tool for the session setup, the way that assess works, the way that practice works, and a few teasers about things coming soon. We are actually working on a lot of other things in AI above and beyond what I showed you today. So if you enjoy these kind of updates, please keep coming back to our live sessions. And at this point, I'm happy to take any questions. And
Well,
over to you, Caitlin, the question master.
thanks. I was like, well, you did answer one of them around voice, so you confirmed that to stay tuned. There's also a question about adding a little bit more, if there can be more visuals coming, and then we have a question from Tom. I'll let you address the visuals, and I'll let you know the next question.
Absolutely. So I love visuals. And in fact, one of the things that we added into the Learn tool recently is that if you share proprietary documents that contain visuals like PDFs, then we automatically index those visuals and then we bring them into the Learn tool, which is really nice. So if you've got a graph about something and the learner asked about it, we'll actually find the graph and embed it there. So one of the things, once after we've released the first versions of Assess and Practice, we're also going to allow them to incorporate imagery from any proprietary documents you want. Once the AIs are fast enough and accurate enough to generate AI imagery, we're going to incorporate that as well. Unfortunately, right now, it takes AIs too long to create an image to have any kind of fast user interface experience, and they're not accurate enough either. So if they try to incorporate text, you might get lucky and the text looks good, or you might get unlucky and the text is a big blur. So as soon as we can realistically do that, we're going to. We've also been experimenting with AI video, but AI video takes even longer to generate. So that one is off the table for right now. Another question is, how would you, oh, go ahead, Caitlin.
Well, I was going to read it to you. So, how are you going to incorporate learn and practice agents into the course, which is actually similar also from the next one, which is about combining this agent together with Copilot 360. Just a quick note on the names. We are calling all of these features CYPHER Agent, but also so for something for the teacher to use and leverage in the materials. So maybe those probably answer those together.
Absolutely. So we're doing some very cool and exciting things on how to leverage these tools within the context of a particular class. And so one of the areas that we're working on is the ability to essentially tell these tools, I'm asking you a general thing, or I want you to restrict yourself to, say, the current course. Now, we're actually doing a lot more than that. I'm not going to give it away in completely, but for sure, if a learner is interested in assessing something in a particular course, they will be able to leverage the assess tool just like it is right now, but it will focus on that particular course and it will use the content in the course as well. So it basically locks into a particular context. And ditto with practice. If you're in a course and the course is teaching you something and you go, I want to practice that thing that's in the course, then when it's practicing, it will use the information in that course as opposed to, the general knowledge of the world. So, yeah, being able to use these tools in various scenarios and lock them down is something that we're already actually actively working on.
Excellent.
And
Uh,
sorry, go ahead, Caitlin.
so with the follow-up question is if there's going to be, we have plans to make the interactions visible to instructors so that they can see how kind of assessment results and the like for their learners.
Yeah, so one of the things, so we will, but it will be configurable because there are going to be a lot of organizations where that would violate the privacy of the learner. So if a learner is going to be able to screw up in something, they don't want to worry about, well, what happens if my manager sees all my screw ups? So, but we understand in some other areas that might be an important thing. So it'll be configurable through our AI permissions matrix. One of the things that I mentioned in the previous scenario is that we've got really fine-grained permissions now where you can say, in this organization, learners can use this tool, but not that tool, for example. Or instructors can do this, but they can't do that. So we're continuing down that road by making the system highly configurable.
That's excellent. I don't see any more. Oh, yes, the security of proprietary information is also a concern. I know we do keep all of your data fully secure. Graham, do you want to speak to a little bit more about how we structure that?
Yeah, yeah. So I totally understand that question. And it's not just about Cypher Learning. People have that question about Gemini and OpenAI, Anthropic, and everything. I mean, think about it. You've got big companies right now using Anthropic to write agentically their code. And so all of the major AI companies have licenses in place that say if you use our APIs, that we guarantee that we don't store the data and we don't train on the data. And if they didn't do that, then Anthropic would be out of business already. Like literally no one would use them. And same thing for the other companies. So we only use premium AIs from those really big companies like Google and OpenAI. Um, and so anytime that our system is leveraging AI, we're using premium AIs through the APIs that pass on that protection to our customers. So that's basically what we do to secure the information. And when we're vectorizing that, which basically means indexing, that's all occurring in another secure database, specially designed to index agent information. So I think we've done about everything that a SaaS company could do to protect all that information.
Yeah, and we have detailed and addressed some of the questions about the security on our CYPHER Agent asset. So if you need to share that information internally to help get some buy-in, I encourage you to do that. I did share the link to the Agent Adoption Kit here, which has us a ton of resources about how to introduce CYPHER Agent for learners to your organization and address some internal concerns. We haven't yet updated it with some of these details about the new practice and assess that will be coming very, very soon. Of course, Graham works at lightning speed, and keeping up with him keeps me on my toes. But we will be addressing that. There's a ton there already for you to take a look at. Because I also understand that, this is a shift in how you do approach learning with your learners is sort of a different way of thinking about it. And so we're trying to help you, see the potential, help you communicate that potential internally, and get everybody as excited about this opportunity as we are. So I want to thank Graham for coming and showing us this. We will always keep you informed of what's coming and do these kind of sessions so you can see what we're working on. So please do watch your email, watch the newsletters that we send out, and watch our websites. We post all of these recordings to the cypherlearning.com website under recordings, and we also post this to our Cypher Learning YouTube channel. So it makes it really easy to find and share with your colleagues. So thank you again, Graham, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Caitlin. And thank you, audience. It was very nice chatting with you. Take care.